The Porsche Macan S is the driver's SUV for people that want to go out and blast back roads on the weekends, but still be able to take their kids to soccer practice during the week. But what if you want to actually take this thing on a proper road trip and fulfill its SUV-ness? How economical will it be? Well, today, we're going to find out. This is Chris here with Daily Motor, and today we have the real-world highway fuel economy test on the 2022 Porsche Macan S. Before we get started, let's hop out and take a look at this thing. I am super excited because this is the first Macan that I've ever driven. I've spent the last couple days with it, and I am emerging from this experience thinking this is probably the best SUV that I've ever driven. So the last piece of the puzzle is to just find out how well this does on just a very real-world highway fuel economy test, because I understand that this is a driver's car. You know, Porsches are made for drivers, but being an SUV in this segment, it still should be able to do some normal SUV stuff like go on a road trip. Under the hood of this Macan S is a 2.9 liter twin turbo V6 brought over from the outgoing GTS model. So it makes 375 horsepower. That is sent through a 7-speed PDK dual clutch automatic to all 4 wheels. So a pretty nice recipe for a driver's car here, but let's go ahead and find out how well this thing does in a highway fuel economy test. If you're curious to learn more about this Macan, if you want to learn about the infotainment, the sound system, or just an overall review of this beautiful SUV, we will have links in the description to all of those videos. But without further ado, let me clap my shoes off and we'll get started on the test. So then, why do we perform this test? Well, the EPA's fuel economy test, which gives this Macan S 23 MPG on the highway, only averages 48 miles per hour. And we know that some people like to take their cars on actual road trips. So what we're gonna do today is go out 25 miles and back 25 miles, averaging 70 miles per hour to get a more real world figure. Couple things worth noting for today's test. Outside temperature is 73 degrees. We're going to be running the climate control in here also at 73 degrees auto. Tire pressures have been set to their factory door placard indicated 36 psi front and 39 psi rear cold. And we're going to be using the same gas pump both times, using the same 3-click filling method to get the most accurate results possible. All right, pulling up here for our first fill. Let's go ahead and get her filled up. Just about 10 gallons even here for our first fill. Of course, running 93 octane fuel today, as Porsche recommends and as the EPA tested this Macan on. Okay, climate control is set there to 73 degrees auto. Now let me just find my trip computer here. Get that reset. Okay, that is also reset. Get the seatbelt on here and we'll go ahead and start the test. She makes a good noise when she fires up. We have 4 different drive modes here on this Porsche Macan S. They are normal, sport, sport plus, and individual. Today we're just going to be running in normal mode, as it'll give us the most economical results. No eco mode on this car, understandably. You don't need eco mode on a car like this. Oh, and we are going to be blessed with merging behind a Cougar with some bikes on the back. It's all right, we're taking it easy today anyways. So the purpose of the test is not to hypermile. I'm not going to be doing any drafting, any purposely economical driving strategies or anything like that. I'm literally just going to get on the highway, set the cruise control to a GPS indicated 72 miles per hour, and just drive and see what this thing gets in a very, very real world scenario. No adaptive cruise on this Macan S, interestingly enough. This is a very base model car. We don't even have Premium Plus pack with cooled seats or a moonroof or anything, but I kind of like that. Sometimes I like to get press cars that just don't really have any options on them, and well, this is one of those cars. First highway impressions, I mean, it's hard to find a car that feels more solid than a Porsche. I mean, this thing is just rock solid. Every passenger I've had in this car has complemented just the solid feel of this thing. Everything you touch, everything that moves, you know, everything just feels so solid, built to such a high standard, and that says a lot with the Macan really being the entry-level Porsche. Just shows you that no matter what sort of Porsche you buy, they're all going to be really, really nice cars. As far as road and wind intrusion go, I mean, very little. It goes along with that same recipe of just very, very, very high quality. We've got some kind of sticky tires on this thing today, just whatever comes standard on the Macan S, but they're not very loud and they do a pretty good job. Ride quality seems to be nice as well. We do have active suspension in this car. I am quite happy here to be driving this Macan S today. So I'm going to go ahead and get to driving, and I will report back with you guys in about 45 or so miles once I am towards the end. Finishing up our journey here in the Porsche Macan S, and readout on the cluster is 27.4 MPG, so quite a bit higher than EPA's estimate of 23. But of course, we will have to get back to the pump and see what our math adds up to see what this thing actually got. As far as the trip computer goes, it's pretty close, so I'm thinking that 27.4 is going to be pretty accurate, but we shall see. Otherwise, it's been a very, very comfortable ride as expected. The ride's a little bit firm, but it's not crashy. It's a very forgiving, firm ride, and it rides just about how I would expect a Porsche Macan to ride. The seats are very comfortable. All of the controls are quite easy to use. The infotainment is fabulous, and overall, I could just eat up some miles in this thing. All right, I'm going to finish out my journey here. In fact, my exit is just right up here. So I will meet back up with you guys once I have brimmed the tank here on this Macan S. And 2.348 gallons in there for our final fill. Let's go ahead and do the math here. 50.49 miles divided by the 2.348 gallons of gas gives us a readout of 21.5 MPG. Now, this is a little bit of a strange readout considering the car was reading over 27 MPG. I'm thinking this is a case of a little bit of inconsistency with the pump here. I noticed some ways into my journey that the fuel gauge readout on the cluster wasn't totally full. So I'm thinking there's a little bit of inconsistency with this pump. What I will tell you is that the trip computer here on the car was reading out very consistently with our trip computer on the GPS. So I would lean more towards trusting the readout on the car of right around 27 MPG. So I'm going to give it to the car here. I'm going to throw out what the pump said, and we're just going to go off of our trip computer here on the car. So I'm going to use the trip computer's calculation for our effective highway cruising range. We're going to leave it at a even 27 MPG, and we're going to multiply that by the 17.1 gallon fuel tank in this Macan S, and that gives us an effective highway cruising range of 460 miles. So apologies for the little bit of inconsistency today, but I think that this is actually quite an efficient vehicle. With a twin turbocharged V6, you can't really expect it to be in the 30s, but I think that 27 mark at 70 miles per hour is pretty realistic. So that's what we're going to go with today. Do with this information what you will. EPA's 23, this silly gas pump read out 21, but the car was reading 27. So I guess if you wanted to average somewhere in the middle, maybe you'd get somewhere around 25, but there you go. That's going to conclude our fuel economy test today. Really, if it were me, I would go off of what this trip computer in the car said. So anyways, that's going to wrap it up for us today. Thank you all so much for watching. There will be links to other videos on this Macan S in the description if you are curious to see more. This has been Chris here with Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.